Yes, hello guys, and welcome to another video today. I'm Gaucho Brian, licensed agent. So we're going to be talking about how to get the best deal out of your client. So YouTube, I'm on YouTube and on Instagram at the same time, but I'm going to be focusing on you guys YouTube, so that's not a problem. So how to get the best deal for your clients. So first, to get the best deal for your client, you have to look at, there are many things. Let's take for example, you're an agent and you have a client and you're trying to get the best deal out of him. So what I'll be looking at is, first, to get the best, you have to understand the key terms of contract. That's a contract. To negotiate a contract, you have to assess a player market value to get the best deal out of him, and you have to have no negotiating tactics to maximize salary and bonuses. You have to also know about hidden clauses that can damage maybe certain the players maybe value, or you have to know about how the hidden clause how clauses work, and also your role as an agent in helping the player get maximum value out of maybe his what he's able to do, but you get maximum value out of the player by making me feel okay when you're negotiating the contract. So, well, those are the things that we can look out for, especially with clauses and everything. So what I would say is, for a player, is when you're for an agent, when you're negotiating contract for your client, the first thing you have to know your worth. The worth. Research the market value. I must insist, research the market value, so that to see, let's take for example, to see a similar player. Let's give an example. If a right back is playing at a team of a different team, and you value that your client is a right back and they have similar playing style or similar capacity, so you try to find out how much that right back is on, so that you can also value the player of you can also try to opt the value of your player. So you always have to research the market value of various teams to see what are the other right back getting in that position. So that's what you have to do also. And the next thing we will talk on is key contract terms. When you're negotiating the salary of a player, you have to talk of key contract terms. You have to understand the salary, the bonuses, the sign-on fees, the release clauses, and the image rights. Those things I wrote there. If you notice most of those things, as an agent, you have to know those things. I see key contract terms when you're negotiating for your player. I've gotten a lot of messages, people writing me that to help them on certain things. But what I'll say is, understand the salary, the bonuses. Bonuses are probably, if it's a striker, they say if you score 20 goals a season, we're going to maybe give you an extra bonus. So those are bonuses or whatsoever. You can signing on fees. If there's an option for you to also get a signing on fees, why not for your player? Release clauses is whether, do you know how to use release clauses, whether they are good or bad for your player. And then image rights also are important. Image rights are important so that when you're signing a sponsorship deal, you should always know that they don't clash with the image rights of your club, so of the club that you are playing with. So it's always important, because the club, when they sign you, they have also rights to your image, to put you maybe on the poster of the games on weekend. Whereas you make sure that the brand you're signing with doesn't have opposite different values according to with the complex, that will create complex situation with your club value. So those are things that also an agent has to think ahead of time. Then first, next, negotiate beyond salary. Look at performance. Okay, when you say negotiate beyond salary, if you know your player is good, you can look at performance incentives also. That's very important. Let's take, for example, a player who, if your player is a player that gives a lot of assists and score a lot of goals, you can say, for example, if my player gives 20 assists this season, what are the bonuses I can get? What are the bonuses the player can get? All those kind of things. So they call them performance incentives. So those are the things that agents also have to know the value of the player, because the top and elite agent, when they have a player on their hand, they try to research every thing about the other players who they consider to be the same level as that player. So let's take, for example, I'll give an example. If we go to the Premier League, which is one of the most watched league in the world, let's take, for example, if Martin Odegaard is an offensive midfielder, if he was on, let's say, 250,000 a week, and Bruno Fernandes of Manchester United is about to have a new contract, he'll be looking at also, his agent should be looking at, okay, if Odegaard is on 250,000 a week, and I am playing and assisting more than everyone in the league, I should be more than that. So those are the things that agents have to be looking at. So, and then the next thing is also leveraging competition. If multiple clubs are interested in your player, then that's also a very big thing. So one thing I've also noticed about agents is that what they do is they try to create try to create a market for the player. Let's take, for example, they use PR spin. For example, a player can be wanting to negotiate a contract with, let's take, for example, let's give a big club, Manchester United. Then his agent go on with a PR spin, for example. After, out of a sudden, you hear news comes out that, okay, Real Madrid is interested in this player, that Real Madrid will join the race. Or some of those things also are PR spin. PR spins are like, some are just media talks that they are trying to make so that they raise the player's market value or make the club gives the player more money. So those are things that I'm saying that smart agents usually use them to do. So these are things, if you future agents, if you're watching and you're a future agent, you should be thinking about all these things. These are things that happen in the market. I'm not saying that you should go and, yes, be asking for money. Of course, your player has to play also. The player has to what that. Okay. And then understand the club's budget is very important. Knowing the financial position of the club helps in a realistic negotiation. For example, if you enter a club and the club have never given someone certain amount, and you discover that maybe that the money you call is unrealistic, uh, there's no point going there if the club doesn't have that. So try to always reach a target, or try to make your research and know what the club are always doing, what the club is after, what the club gives people. So that's why we talk of know your club's value, knowing the club you're negotiating the value. So those things are also very important. So, and the next is avoid unfavorable clauses. Unfavorable clauses are clauses that those clauses they don't air that they are just horrible. Let's take, for example, people do sign contract, and certain times you said if you're injured in a season, that uh will take maybe certain percentage of your wage if you're injured this amount of time. Of course, no. The reality is no one wants to be injured. So those are clauses that you have to always avoid as an agent. If you don't try to, when clubs start proposing that, those are clauses you don't want to gain. Or they give you another clause that says that uh we will pay you 75, we will pay you this huge amount of salary if you play every game from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. One thing I can tell you is that that kind of clause, the team might be in a better position mid-season already, maybe depending on their target. Let's take, for example, they were a team trying to go for the league. Then midway to the season, they're already safe. You can be sure that now you're not going to be a regular player because they want to save money. So those are also the things that you have to also look at and say, okay, it's important I don't put this kind of clauses in contracts. So next, also we'll look at have a strong representative. Of course, an experienced agent always, because he has been doing this for experience, he already knows a lot of things. He already knows, so he knows how to negotiate his way. But also, experience is very important. And also, if you're also someone coming up and you learn, and then let's say you're knowledgeable, then that's also very nice. So those are one of the things I also say. Well, we'll give experience is always very important. If you meet an agent with experience who can handle deals very, very well, then that's great. And also plan for the future. The agent always consider the contract length to be very important. And also always think, second, when you're negotiating a contract with the player, what can be the exit strategy? Your player can be very good, and your player wants to win trophy, and the club ambitions, they're not matching each other. So do you have a way of exit? So don't put silly clauses in contract that will tie the player down to certain ways. I mean, to certain difficult situation that it will be hard to come out. It's the same like you have seen players try to negotiate their way out of a deal and it didn't go for them. Like I give an example, the case of Neymar when he wanted to leave Paris to go back to Barcelona. It was impossible for him to leave due to certain things in the contract we're not going to discuss here. But it was impossible for him to leave. He ended up signing a new contract with Paris. So that was because he couldn't leave, and he ended up doing it against his choice because the president said Barcelona must pay a certain amount of money, whether it was 220 million, the same amount they paid for Neymar. That was the thing. Although Neymar wanted to leave, he did all things, but there was no way. So that's why I say always try to watch out for these kind of things. So that was it about contract talks and everything. I just wanted to tell you guys, if you're struggling to negotiate get best deals, or if you're struggling to get best deals for your client and struggling to negotiate also, then I'll touch on a little bit this also. Let's give an example. If you're struggling to sign players also, I will just touch on this a little bit. So as I was speaking in my previous video, if you're a young agent and struggling to sign players, don't have a panic. Relax. The first thing is always know to start in anything is difficult, but when you get your feet under the table, it's much easier because you know what you're doing. So what I would say is, when as an agent coming to the business, always start with unknown players that are very talented. I give an example. If you're trying to sign a player, let's give an example. If an experienced player who has been playing professional for 15 years sees two agent. One is an experienced agent and one is an agent who has just began. He's not going to go with you because he knows you don't really know many things about uh, the business. So he'll go with that experienced person who have been working with top clubs. But that shouldn't put you out of or shouldn't that shouldn't demoralize you. What you can do, that you have the market you have that is more than the market the experienced people have, is that the experienced agents, they don't have time to come now to go to the lower divisions to search for players. That is your market. Take your time, go to the lower divisions, watch academic games. It's always free, they don't pay. Watch academic games, watch friendly games. And when you start seeing that you have quality players there, because even in your local cities there are always quality players everywhere. Don't tell me the city you're there nobody plays football. Even in the local club there, if you see, there are always talented players who are looking for agents to take them to the next level. So what you do is you watch the player. After you watch the player one or two times, maybe you can appreciate the player. The next time you try to spot who is the mom or who is the father coming to pick that child pick that child off, or that player, that academy player home. So you approach the parents because you have been in that this and just give one or two nice words about the son. So you can be, or the daughter, you can say, hey, uh, mm, your son is having really good skills. I really like the way he plays. I'll be coming tomorrow to watch again. That father will be happy. No, everyone likes compliment. The next day you come and you speak about the child and maybe start asking, when did this child start playing football, all those things, and start to know and try to know about the parents' background. Because also, if you're an agent, know that you are dealing with if you are dealing with a player, know that you're also dealing with his family. So you want to also know that you are dealing with a good family. You don't want a family that when they'll be breathing down your neck saying that, get my child to sign a contract, get my child to sign a contract, because then there's always going to be pressure on you. So try to always learn also those things. You learn about the family, then at one point in time you approach them and say, you're an agent. You want to look after the child and all those things. And the parents will want to sit you down. You push to have some come to a conclusion. So those are just the things you can do that are at your disposal that you are not seeing. The problem is most agents, when they get their license, the first thing they think is they want to go and sign the next Ronaldo. Well, Ronaldo wants to sign with the best agents like the George Mendes, and also the elite agents, Jonathan Barnes and all those people. Ronaldo wants to sign with that. He wouldn't want to be signing with an up and coming agent. But as I say, what you have is starting from basics. You start from academic, from grassroots. Yes, just in your local area, there are a lot of players. because talent, many players at young age always have talent, but it's about you trying to manage them, giving them ideas to train. So these are the things that happen, that you have to always put yourself to sign a player. You have to put yourself in certain situation. You cannot sit home and just be ringing people's phones and that you want to sign a player when you're a beginning agent. Go to the various academies and do this. Work this for yourself, because this is your future. And I'll tell you one nice thing about being an agent is when you're an agent, when you're an agent, the best thing about it is when you sign players, for someone who love football, you have to go to, let's say, for example, your player can be playing for Juventus. You go to the stadium and watch the game. That's a lifestyle that many people don't dream. I mean, that many people dream of. You go to Juventus to watch. You go to Juventus to watch the game. You go to AC Milan. You go to Bernabeu, to Real Madrid. You go to San Siro. You go to Old Trafford. You go to Anfield. You go to all these big stadiums just because you want to watch your player. That's what I'm saying. That being an agent is worth sacrificing a lot, and you get to manage all these players. Yeah. So let's take, for example, I'll give an example because I always like to give example with people, and let me give example of myself when as I started, when I got my license, communicating with people. Same like the target. My target also this summer will be like, I live in Finland. All the elite teams that will be all the elite teams that are in Finland in my location. I'll make sure I know their sporting director, the ones that I already know because I know sporting director and coaches that we speak, we talk and everything. We see each other. That I was doing it already last year because I started long ago, of course. So the contact is there. But I'm just saying that now the other ones that I don't know, the other ones, I make sure I get their contact. So let's say when you talk of networking in Finland, I already have everybody's contact. The next, because Scandinavian market is very good in selling players. The next, you look at Norway. You start going to places like Norway. You start going to places like Sweden. You start going to places like Denmark. If you're in Europe, you start going to many places, Germany, England, everything. Before you know, the whole Europe, you have the clubs, sporting director or coaches or whatsoever. When you have those network also, and then you're also having other partners, let's take, for example, who are also like doing scouting for you. Like, for example, I am here. I have a partner who scouts for my country in Cameroon. There are people. I have someone who always tell me about players in Kenya. So you see that in Kenya, I have also people who tell me players in different locations. So this now, when you already have a contact of sporting director, when you have a good player, when you just call him and say, okay, can you check this player? When the player is good, you bring the player for trials, and when the player passes the trial, that's one player you have sold to the club. So this thing is a thing of network that you must also sacrifice and do a lot. So I hope I'm not going out of topic, but I wanted to just let you guys know that at least put in an effort for those who are aging. Try to put an effort for your hustle, for it's going to be beneficial when you start doing things the right way. So that was it, guys, and I hope I helped you guys answer the questions on this topic. And I wish you guys sign lots of players and also help a lot. There are a lot of talents that are out there who need agents. So why not reach out to them and try to sign them so that you can progress your career. As I said, being an agent is very fulfilling job, especially because it's a luxury job. You get to enter planes and go to football stadium, just sit, watch games, stay at a hotel, get paid, come back because your client is playing and you get paid, you come back. So I always say I'll give an example of myself. When I stopped playing football, I was thinking, do I go into coaching regularly? Although I'm doing coaching still because I love coaching, I like to see how people play. But I was saying, do I just go all into coaching? Then I said, no, I'll have to do the agenting also because it's something that I would like to travel from everywhere around Europe, go to places to watch games, and also then scout players while watching games. So it was just something that I wanted to do, that I like to do. Yeah. So, anyways, enough about myself, guys. So it's nice talking to you. Talk to you guys again. Talk to you guys tomorrow, or to you all tomorrow. And see you. Yes, tomorrow. Take care. Yeah. Bye.